Quinn of Love Never Fails, heard daily on Bible School Radio, 91.3 KDKR Decatur, Dallas, Fort Worth, and on 91.3 KYJC Commerce.
Portions of KDKR programming do not necessarily reflect the views of this station, its management, or staff.
Prudent Money with Bob Brooks is sponsored by the Prudent Money Foundation on 91.3.
Well, ever wondered what to do with that box of old coins that's sitting in your closet? Today we're going to take a look. Stay tuned for Prudent Money. You are listening to the Prudent Money Radio Show. Thank you so much for joining me today. You know I do appreciate it. Well, do you have a potential fortune in old coins just sitting in your closet? It might just be worth a look. Today, Burnett Morris is here to tell us what to do and how to do it. He is the president of CoinAnalysis.com. Burnett, great to have you on the program, my friend.
Glad to be here, Bob.
You know, I would bet that you see this scenario a lot. You know, a father or a mother passes away and leaves a big box of coins. And in the back of your mind, you're looking at those coins, you're thinking, are they worth anything? How commonplace is this?
It's a very, very commonplace. Been doing this since I retired from corporate in 2004. And you would not believe, there's an old saying, there's fortunes in people's attics. And the key thing that we do find is that it is the lack of knowing where to go and how to evaluate and what to do with them, that they just languish in cigar boxes, bags, safety deposit boxes, before somebody says, well, let's try to find out what these are worth.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the process. I mean, you have, and I know you got to be really careful because you have local dealers, you have national dealers, and you obviously need help to get to go through the process. Which makes the most sense?
Well, you got to start somewhere, and I will tell you one of the things that people can do that they couldn't do in the past because the database wasn't there, and if they have access to the internet, all they have to do is start looking things up on the computer, and you can find out about grading services, about grading firms. The key thing that I would just caution everyone, not everybody that's listed as a dealer on the internet is one that you'd want to work for, want to go to. But the aspect of the background data of saying, you know, who is PCGS, who is NGC, who is CAC, those are the kind of things that one will lead you into another, and you can sort of get an idea of what the process is. And then you can also find out, for example, who the people are that deal in those particular kind of services. For example, the newest grading service out is CAC, which was in the past a sticker that went onto a PCGS and NGC coin. Now they have their own grading service. And so far, there's only 4 dealers in the state of Texas who submit those to CAC. So when you have that kind of newness, you say, well, where can I go? You say, well, on the internet, it says you go to one of these 4 firms. But again, it gives information that years ago, Bob, this information wasn't out there.
You know, I know that there's good and bad people in every business. And as far as looking at coins and that type of thing, what are some of the red flags of companies that you should look for in that selection process?
Well, I will tell you the most common thing everyone does is say, well, see if they have anything to do, any ratings from the Better Business Bureau. That is sort of like checking if you have a flat tire from being inside the car. I tell everyone that the best way to check if you have a firm that should be suspicious is check with the Attorney General's office or the Consumer Affairs Division of the state that you're in. Find out who the individuals are, who the principals are, and find out if there have been any complaints lodged to the state by anybody against these people. There are many, many well-known dealers. At the point, they were like, oh, these are the greatest guys in the world. And the next thing you know, some of them are in prison. Some of them were run out of business because of shady dealings. And there are some firms, believe it or not, there's one right now out of Arizona that has had a horrible history. They're still advertising on radio.
Yeah, and a lot of those commercials are very aggressive. The marketing is very aggressive, and you just don't know. Well, let's talk a little bit about the grades of a coin, and talk about what you mean by that.
Okay, grading very simply is when someone says, "What is this coin, and how much is it worth?" If you look at a coin in its natural state, you look at it and go, "It's a coin. It was pressed at the mint, and it's used for currency." And then we have a situation where coins that were minted for commercial use that for some reason weren't used. They were collected by people back in the 1800s, which goes back that far, the early 20s, the 30s. Someone found that coin when they broke it out of their change and said, "I'm not going to spend it. I'm going to save it. I'm going to collect it. I'm going to collect coins like it." So you have all these coins that, to a degree, look like they were when they left the mint. Well, it got to the point in 1985. This is when everything turned on its head. When I was in the midst of the industry, the major grading firm was called the American Numismatic Association Certification Service. It was called ANEX. And if you had a coin you wanted to sell, I had a coin I wanted to sell, and one person said, well, his coin is a 65, which is high grade, and the other guy says, no, I think it's a 63, I don't want to pay as much. You would then be able to send it to ANEX, and they would grade the coin and say, we looked at it independently, here it is in the little case, and it's a 65. So the guy who said, see, it's 65, here's how much you can pay me for it. And the guy with the 63, in most cases, would say, well, I agree with it. ANEX looked at it. Well, the problem in 1985, ANEX did something that rocked the industry to its core. They said, our opinion of grading is just that. It's an opinion. And you're just as good as one person as another. The industry was thrown into a turmoil. People in the business lost millions of dollars because all of a sudden here they have coins that were being touted as being graded by an organization. Now the organization says, hey, our opinion doesn't mean as much as anyone else's. So then into the fray comes PCGS was first, the Professional Coin Grading Service. That was the first one in 1985. Then NGC, Numismatic Guarantee Corporation, came out in 1986. And there was a ton of other firms who were rushing into the fray saying, we're going to grade coins and we'll be the answer. And if we fast forward to today, the two major firms are PCGS and NGC. They look at the coins, they grade the coins, they put it in cases. The interesting thing, Bob, and I know it's a lengthy answer, is the grades of coins went back to 1948, which was called the Sheldon scale, from 1 to 70. 1 was the worst coin, and 70 was absolutely the best. Couldn't get any better. So they now use the same numerical scale, but it's now in a situation where they grade it and put it in a tamper-proof plastic case that is either a PCGS case or NGC case, depending on who you send it to. And on that case, inside that case, is a sticker that says, this is what the coin is. And what has happened over the years, the standards have changed. And so now you have things like CAC coming out, the Collectors Acceptance Corporation saying, well, we want to see if they are grading coins the same way, in the same kind of standards that everyone else would be grading them. So you would now have a circumstance, and the interesting thing of it is, Bob, the people who started CAC, Collectors Acceptance Corporation, same people who started NGC. So now they're grading the graders. And it's gotten to the point where the CAC graded coins now get a value anywhere from a few percentage points all the way up to 92% more than the standard grade, depending on what the coin is. So grading is really important because it tells someone, here's a coin, you can look it up, and they say, oh, what is it? You need to have someone, and because you have the internet, you can actually see pictures of coins in various grades, which you couldn't see before. But the key thing of it is, once you see something is close, you can then send it off through the dealer, have it graded, and then you know exactly what it is.
This is Bob Brooks, and you are listening to the Prudent Money Radio Show. Thank you so much for joining me today. You know I do appreciate it. Burnett Morris is here with me today. He is the president of www.coinanalysis.com. I've had the pleasure of watching you go through this process, and talk a little bit about how the process works. I mean, you sit down with with a box of coins, and you separate them out. I mean, talk a little bit about what you do, how long it takes you to get through the process, that sort of thing.
Well, the key thing when you're going through coins, and let's say we have someone say, I got a box of coins, what are they worth? What we normally do, you can divide coins, and this sounds pretty simplistic, but when I look at the coins, I can divide them into piles and say, okay, this pile of coins here, it's change. It's the type of coin that, someone said, oh, I got a whole bunch of Jefferson nickels and Buffalo nickels. Those are worth a nickel, except for some of the ones that are have different characteristics. But I got some pennies and all that. But there's a better example, too, would be Kennedy half dollars after 1970. I got a bunch of Kennedy half dollars. Great, take them to the bank, they're worth a half dollar. So we take the coins that are actually change and say, you can take those to the bank, not worry about it. Then you have coins that are that's no value, and these are what we call I sort of call the World War II. Dad went to Dad was in Germany during the war, came back, and he had all these francs and German mark and things like. Well, fine. If you ever go back to Germany, take those. That you can use them. Those particular coins, except for the ones made out of actual silver or gold, which is sort of scarce to find, those are the type of coins. We used to have a bucket at the end of our counter that had all these foreign coins from the 1940s, 50s, and 60s. That just filled with it. People would come in and say, I've got these. And we say, well, that's the same thing we got in the bucket. Would you like some more? Because there's no value. Then you have the coins that you find, and this is where it's like it's the treasure hunt part. You find coins, you say, okay, where did this come from? The one thing that's very important when I or anybody else looks at coins like this, we very quickly get to see a collector's profile. Where did the coins come from? How did the original owner of these coins deal with these? Were these things that he just threw into a can or put into a bag, or was there an order to it? Did he have coins that were certified? He had coins where, I'll give you one wonderful example. We had a case that we dealt with up in Indiana where a gentleman had kept a ledger, and when they asked for for a copy of it, it was 4 inches thick. It was 11 by 17. The first entry was 1944, and the last entry was the year before he died. There were 23,000 entries. He had meticulously written down every coin he bought, who he bought it from, what it was, the grade it was when he bought it. It was a phenomenal undertaking that he had, and he was a professional collector. And that particular collection, it sounds like it's not a lot, but of what he did, was over $450,000. It was an amazing thing to see. But when you look at these things, you have to be able to have that eye and say, okay, these coins here, we take a second look at. These coins definitely have a collector value, and we have to send it off and have it certified to find out what it is.
So tell me this, because I've come across articles before about pennies, and this one penny went to auction and brought back $500,000. I mean, it was a large amount of money. What, as you're looking through that, and let's just talk about pennies in particular. I mean, what are you looking for that's special that makes these pennies one of a kind?
Well, there are certain pennies that are absolutely, the ones that you look for. You hear about the SVDBs, the Victor Brennan coins. You look at the 22 planes. Probably one of the most famous ones, before we get into the zinc coins, is the 1955 double die, and they also had another one, I believe, in 1972, and that's where the strike on the coin was twice, and you have like a shadowed image of the word "In God We Trust," a cross and liberty, whatever, and it's very obvious. The other ones were absolute mistakes by the mint back when they went from copper to zinc during the war in 1943. They had some penny planchets, the round blanks for pennies, in the containers when they went to mint the new zinc coins, and there was roughly about a half a dozen to a dozen of pennies that were struck that were 1943. Well, they were all the 1943 pennies were zinc. And then when they switched back, the same thing happened in reverse. Had some zinc planchets in the conveyor that came out with the date 1944. So you have to find those particular things, and you have to make sure that the news media, when you're talking to them, gets it right, because we cause it.
Burnett, are you still with me? Maybe Burnett, give us a call back, and we'll get you hooked up back through the system. I don't know what went wrong there. Hey, this is Bob Brooks, and you are listening to the Prudent Money Radio Show. Burnett, are you back with me? Okay, we'll see here. But the website, if you want more information about Burnett, is coinanalysis.com. And it's interesting to me, as I've kind of talked about this with various people, how their parents will have put together quite a collection, and they don't know what to do with it. They don't know what. Are you with us, Burnett?
Yes, I am. I love
you got to love it. Okay, so you're saying, I'm sorry, you got cut off there.
Yeah, so when you're looking for pennies, there are certain pennies that have definitive characteristics that are well known. And the one thing that I caution everybody is that the key thing of it is, when you look for those pennies, remember, in the aspect of grade, you can have a 1909 SVDB, and you're going, I got one. You didn't hit the mother lode yet, because the next thing you have to do is go back to what we discussed earlier, is what's the grade. So you have a coin that's a rare coin, but in the condition that most people will find them, which is very worn, which is because the coins were made for use as a commercial item, not as a collectible. And the next thing you have is saying, oh, well, this coin, because it's a 1909 SVDB, is worth $29. But if it's in a mint state 69 condition, you're looking at a coin that's worth $40,000. So the key thing of it is, if it doesn't look like, and a good analogy, Bob, is cars. Someone can say, hey, I just heard that a Corvette 1953 sold it at an auction for $190,000. Great. He says, I've got a 53 Corvette. You go, really? And you look at it, and it's on its 8th paint job, its 2nd engine, the interior's messed up, but it is a 53 Corvette. But will he get $190,000 for it? No.
So let's talk a little bit about the liquidation process. You want to sell these coins, and what process do you go through? What do you consider that type of thing? Burnett, are you with us? Boy, I don't know why we're having so much trouble today. This is Bob Brooks, and are you Burnett? Are you with us? Are you there? Okay, so this is Bob Brooks. You gotta love live radio. Once again, his website is coinanalysis.com, and hopefully he'll get back on the program. I'd like to talk a little bit about the liquidation process, how you go through that, because there are some options. And once again, you definitely want to make sure that you are working with somebody who's legit. Are you there, Burnett?
Yep, I have no idea what's going on.
Okay, but we've got about 3 minutes left to make it through.
Okay.
So let's talk about the liquidation process.
Okay, two ways to liquidate. One is auction. That is the primary method of liquidation for anything of value. Main reason being, let me explain to you this way. If you're auctioning, the auctioneer is on the same side as the table as you are. They only get paid if they get the maximum amount of money for the coins that you're selling. If you're wanting to sell them wholesale, that's where he's on one side, you're on the other. He wants to buy it as cheaply as he can so he can resell it. And so that's one of the methodologies that is used if you're selling something that is very common, but of a good value. If you got a $200-300 coin and get a whole bunch of them, you primarily wind up selling them wholesale. You have a $5,000 coin, you sell it at auction.
And one last question. How do you know, you want to sell them, but is this the best time to sell the coins?
That's a question that someone asks, and I say, here's the best time. When it's beneficial to the client to sell. I've had clients who had, there's one couple that had a whole bunch of coins, and we added them all up. It was like $18,000. And they said, is it a good time to sell? I knew their net worth. I knew their financials. And I said, if you sold it for $18,000, is it something that would change your financial life? Is it something that would be great? And I said, no, it's like, that's nice. Just add it to our $250,000 savings. Then you can sell it if you want, or you can wait till it goes up a little. They're not going to get any lower in value, but you can sell them if it's something that is beneficial. A couple out in Rockwall, they had coins, $10,000. That was a real major thing for them. And they sold it because that's paid off a bunch of their bills that they wanted to have. So it really depends on what the client's situation is. The market is always active.
This is Bob Brooks, and you are listening to the Prudent Money Radio Show. Once again, the website to find out more information about Burnett is www.coinanalysis.com. And Burnett, it's so great to have you on the program today.
Bob, thank you very much for having me. Sorry about whatever we had going on with our cell phone here.
Who knows?
I think we got it all done.
There you go. Okay, well, good talking to you, Burnett. Take care.
Thank you.
This is Bob Brooks, and you are listening to the Prudent Money Radio Show. Thank you so much for joining me today. Sometimes we get these gremlin in the system, and it just wants to not act right. Fortunately, that doesn't happen often, but it does happen every once in a while. Like I said, you got to love live radio, and that's what you get sometime. Once again, if you want more information on Burnett, coinanalysis.com. I've known Burnett for 20 plus years, and thought to myself the other day, I said, well, we should have him on the radio show, because I'm sure a lot of people could use this information. So that's coinanalysis.com. This is Bob Brooks. If you have a question for me, please go to the website at prudentmoney.com and send it in, because we are all out of time. Till we do meet again next time, keep the faith and have a great rest of the day.
That's all the time we have for today. Questions or comments for Bob, or to find out more great information like what you've just heard, visit www.prudentmoney.com. Be sure to join Bob Brooks again for the next edition of Prudent Money.